Have you ever thought about how some seemingly harmless morning habits could actually pose serious health risks, especially as we age? Today, we'll dive into the story of Mr. Hope, a 70-year-old man living in the peaceful countryside. He led the kind of life many of us strive for, staying active with daily exercise and spending his mornings tending to his cherished garden. But one morning, amid the calm of his garden, Mr. Hope suddenly collapsed. His experience is a powerful reminder that even when we take care of our health, hidden dangers can still threaten our well-being. In this video, we'll uncover 3 crucial morning habits that older adults should avoid right after waking up. These small but essential adjustments could make a huge difference in protecting your health and ensuring you or your loved ones live a longer, healthier life. Stay with us until the end. These tips could be life-saving for someone you care about. Before we get started, we'd really appreciate your support. If you could take a moment to like this video, it helps us continue sharing valuable information for older adults. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your feedback is invaluable to us. If you're finding this content helpful, leave a comment with the number 1. If there's room for improvement, feel free to drop a 0. Your input helps us create better, more impactful videos for you. Now, let's dive into today's topic and learn how to make these simple changes for a healthier future. Today, we have the opportunity to hear the story of Mr. Hope, a 70-year-old man who lived a peaceful life in a quiet rural area. Like many older adults, Mr. Hope was deeply conscious of his health and well-being. Every morning, he would rise with the sun, eager to exercise and tend to his small vegetable garden, which he cherished as a source of both pride and joy. His family took great comfort in knowing that he was following all the right steps to stay healthy. He seemed to be doing everything right. But one calm, ordinary morning, while working in his beloved garden, Mr. Hope suddenly collapsed. He had suffered a stroke. This tragic event serves as a sobering reminder for all of us to reflect on the health habits we adopt each day, particularly as we grow older. Even when we believe we are taking the right steps, there are certain morning routines that can pose hidden risks, especially for elderly individuals. It's crucial that we recognize these subtle dangers and take proactive measures to protect ourselves and our loved ones. Today, we will be discussing 3 important habits that older adults should avoid upon waking. These small adjustments can significantly reduce the risk of serious health incidents, like strokes, and support long-term health and well-being. Let's take a closer look at how we can implement these strategies to create a safer, healthier start to the day. First and foremost, it is essential to avoid exerting ourselves on an empty stomach. For elderly individuals, one of the most important practices is to never engage in intense physical activity without eating something first. After waking, our bodies are transitioning from a state of rest to activity, and they aren't fully equipped to handle strenuous efforts right away. Skipping breakfast and jumping straight into tasks such as gardening, exercising, or even lifting heavy objects can place unnecessary strain on the body. In the morning, our energy levels are low, and the body's fuel reserves are depleted after a night's sleep. Without adequate nourishment, the cardiovascular system may struggle to cope with the demands of physical exertion, leading to an increased heart rate and elevated blood pressure. For elderly individuals whose hearts and blood vessels may not be as resilient as they once were, this can pose a serious danger. Additionally, it's important to remember that our bodies release a surge of adrenaline when we wake up, helping to kickstart the nervous and cardiovascular systems. However, this also means that blood pressure tends to be higher during these early hours. Engaging in strenuous activity without fueling the body first can lead to the rupture of plaques in the blood vessels, drastically increasing the risk of a stroke. So, what can we do instead? It's important to take a gentle, mindful approach to mornings. Begin the day with light activities. Ease into the day with simple stretches or a slow walk. Before engaging in any more vigorous activities, make sure to enjoy a light, nutritious breakfast. Options like oatmeal, fruits, or a small serving of protein can provide the necessary energy and help stabilize blood sugar levels. Low-impact exercises such as walking or practicing Tai Chi are particularly beneficial for older adults. They not only promote cardiovascular health, but also support balance and flexibility, reducing the risk of falls and injuries. Another important practice to avoid after waking up is standing up too quickly. While it may seem like a small habit, jumping out of bed as soon as the alarm goes off can actually be risky, especially for older adults. When we sleep, our bodies are in a deeply restful state. Heart rates slow down, blood pressure lowers, and bodily functions operate at a reduced pace. Upon waking, our systems need time to adjust back to an active state. If we stand up too fast, our bodies may not have enough time to properly recalibrate, which can lead to dizziness, imbalance, or even fainting. This is particularly concerning for elderly individuals, as the cardiovascular and nervous systems naturally become less responsive with age. Sudden movements upon waking can trigger postural hypotension, a rapid drop in blood pressure that can cause lightheadedness or fainting. To avoid this, it's important to take a gradual approach to getting out of bed. Instead of leaping up immediately, take a moment to wake your body slowly. Start by lying still for a minute or two, allowing your body time to adjust. Gentle stretching while lying down can help to get your circulation moving, easing the transition from rest to wakefulness. Gradually move your arms and legs, and when you feel ready, sit up slowly. Pause for a few seconds at the edge of the bed to let your body further stabilize before standing fully. Let us tell you a story. Mary had always been an early riser, full of energy and ready to tackle her day the moment her alarm rang. Even at 65, she prided herself on being able to jump out of bed without hesitation. That was until one morning when things didn't go quite as planned. It was a sunny Tuesday, and Mary had a busy day ahead, coffee with a friend and a few errands to run. As usual, her alarm buzzed at 7 a.m., and without thinking, she swung her legs over the side of the bed and stood up. But this time, something fell off. As soon as she stood, the room around her began to spin. Before she could reach for support, a wave of dizziness washed over her, and she collapsed back onto the bed, her heart racing. Confused and shaken, Mary sat there for a moment, breathing deeply and trying to steady herself. Fortunately, she wasn't hurt, but the experience left her feeling vulnerable. Later that day, over coffee, she told her friend about the incident. "I felt like the floor just disappeared under me," she said, shaking her head. "One minute I was fine, and the next I nearly fainted." Her friend, Sarah, a retired nurse, nodded knowingly. "That's something called postural hypotension," she explained. "As we get older, our bodies need more time to adjust when we move too quickly, especially in the morning. The sudden drop in blood pressure can make you dizzy, or worse, make you faint." Mary was surprised. I had no idea standing up too fast could cause that. Sarah gave her some advice. Next time, don't rush out of bed. When you wake up, take a minute to lie there, stretch a little, and let your body wake up with you. Then sit up slowly and stay seated for a few moments before you stand. It makes all the difference. The next morning, Mary decided to give it a try. When her alarm rang, instead of her usual rush, she lay still for a moment, breathing deeply. She stretched her arms and legs, moving them gently. Then, she sat up slowly, pausing at the edge of the bed. After a minute, she stood up carefully. No dizziness, no spinning room. She smiled to herself, realizing how such a simple change could make her morning safer. From that day on, Mary followed her new routine every morning, appreciating the few extra moments to let her body adjust. She never had another dizzy spell, and she was grateful for her friend's advice. It became her new way to start the day, mindful and safe. By following this step-by-step process, we give our bodies the time they need to readjust, reducing the chances of falls or injury. Particularly for older adults, taking these extra moments can make a significant difference in ensuring a safer start to the day and promoting long-term health. The third point we should consider is the importance of avoiding excessive straining when using the bathroom. While this might seem like a minor concern, it can present significant health risks, particularly for older adults, and it's something we must take seriously, especially during the morning hours. After a night of digestion and metabolism, many people feel the natural urge to have a bowel movement. However, forcing ourselves or pushing too hard can have dangerous consequences. Excessive straining increases pressure in the chest, which can reduce the flow of blood returning to the heart. This diminished blood flow results in less oxygenated blood reaching the brain, potentially causing dizziness, sudden spikes in blood pressure, or even fainting. For older adults, especially those with weakened cardiovascular systems, this strain can escalate the risk of heart attacks or strokes. To protect ourselves from these risks, it's crucial to maintain a relaxed and natural posture when using the bathroom and avoid forcing our bodies. If we find ourselves struggling, making changes to our diet could be helpful. Incorporating more fiber-rich foods and staying hydrated with plenty of water can promote smoother digestion, reducing the need to strain. Additionally, we should be mindful not to spend too much time in the bathroom, whether it's scrolling through our phones or reading. Prolonged sitting can exert unnecessary pressure on the blood vessels in the lower body, which may contribute to other health issues over time. Taking these precautions can help ensure a healthier, safer approach to this daily routine. Health stands as the greatest wealth, not only for each of us individually, but for our families as a whole. When one of our elders falls ill, it touches everyone in the family, creating waves of responsibility, concern, and sometimes sacrifice. We often find ourselves adjusting our daily lives, our plans, and even our financial resources to care for our loved ones. The emotional and physical strain that illness brings to a family cannot be overstated. This is why maintaining our health throughout life becomes not just a personal responsibility, but a gift to those we care about most. When our elders remain healthy and active, they contribute joy, wisdom, and stability to the family. Their presence is a source of comfort and inspiration, enriching the lives of children and grandchildren alike. Proactive health care is the foundation of this well-being, ensuring that we maintain a lifestyle that supports longevity and vitality. It's not enough to wait until sickness strikes before acting. We must take preventive measures to guard our health. A balanced diet, regular physical activity, and routine medical checkups are all essential steps in this journey. By committing to these habits, we ensure that we can live independently and with dignity as we age, freeing our family from the burden of caregiving while continuing to participate fully in their lives. In this way, our health becomes a legacy, a commitment to care that transcends generations, ensuring that our loved ones are supported both emotionally and practically. One of the core values that enhance the bond between family members is filial piety, a principle deeply embedded in many Eastern cultures. Filial piety isn't just about providing care when parents or grandparents are ill. It encompasses a lifelong commitment to respect, honor, and responsibility. This value teaches us the importance of maintaining strong, positive relationships with our elders, showing them the kindness and respect they deserve. It is not only a duty, but a reflection of love. When we live in accordance with filial piety, we cultivate an environment where respect and compassion thrive, and this example is passed down to future generations. Older family members play a critical role in teaching younger ones about the importance of these values. By living with integrity, kindness, and respect, elders create a family culture where these qualities are cherished. They model what it means to live responsibly and lovingly, and in doing so, they set the tone for the next generation to follow. Filial piety ensures that children grow up understanding their responsibilities, not just to their parents, but to the family as a whole. This value system fosters empathy and compassion, strengthening the emotional fabric of the family and extending outward into broader social interactions. While financial assets can offer temporary relief from life's challenges, they are not the source of lasting happiness or prosperity. Instead, it is the moral values we instill, the focus on health, and the sense of duty to care for one another that leave a truly enduring legacy. These values guide future generations, providing them with the tools to navigate life's challenges with grace and wisdom. As we age, our responsibility extends beyond simply caring for our physical health. We are also tasked with passing down the lessons we've learned, ensuring that our children and grandchildren inherit not only our assets, but our values and our strength. In prioritizing our health, we also invest in the long-term well-being of our families. The benefits of good health extend far beyond our personal experience. They ripple outward, uplifting those around us. A commitment to staying healthy becomes a collective act of love as we ensure that our families remain strong and resilient. When we take care of ourselves, we reduce the burden on our loved ones, allowing them to focus on their lives while still feeling supported and cared for. Elders, in particular, are the bearers of this legacy. Their health and vitality enable them to remain actively involved in family life, offering wisdom, guidance, and love. Their presence serves as a reminder of the importance of self-care and proactive health management. When they are able to contribute meaningfully to family life, the whole family benefits. Their ability to continue providing support and wisdom is invaluable, keeping the family united and grounded in shared values. Good health is a foundation upon which we build a happy and fulfilling family life. It allows us to enjoy life's moments more fully, to engage with our loved ones in meaningful ways, and to create memories that last. The healthier we are, the more we can contribute to the emotional, spiritual, and even financial well-being of our families. This is the ultimate legacy we can leave behind, a life lived with purpose, care, and consideration for those we love. As we reflect on the importance of health, we recognize that it is more than just a personal goal. It is a family value. Our well-being directly impacts the people we care about most. By taking care of ourselves, we ensure that our families can thrive and that the burden of illness does not become theirs to bear. The strength of a family lies in its ability to care for one another, and the best way we can contribute to that strength is by prioritizing our own health. Ultimately, it is not the material wealth we leave behind that shapes the future, but the values we live by. By committing to our health and teaching our children the importance of self-care, respect, and responsibility, we pass down a legacy that will endure. Let us cherish the gift of health and use it to enrich the lives of those we love, creating a lasting foundation of happiness, stability, and love. If you're still with us, comment number 4 to let us know you believe in the power of health, family, and legacy. Your presence and support mean everything, and together, we can continue building a future grounded in strength, love, and compassion. As we grow older, our relationships evolve, often in ways we didn't anticipate. In our younger years, it's easier to dismiss the small quirks and habits of our partners. The things that once seemed inconsequential often carry little weight when we are full of energy and life feels boundless. But over time, as the years roll by, these minor annoyances can gradually build up, becoming sources of frustration or even resentment. Many women, especially after reaching their 60s, begin to feel an emotional distance growing between them and their husbands. The intimacy and companionship that once characterized their relationship may start to fade, leaving them feeling isolated in their responsibilities, even though they're still in the same home, side by side. When we were younger, we might have shrugged off the small things, like our husbands leaving their socks around the house, forgetting to handle basic chores, or being inattentive to our needs. At that time, these behaviors were easy to overlook. We had the energy and patience to manage everything, and the early stages of love often brought a sense of forgiveness for each other's flaws. However, as we age and our physical and emotional stamina diminishes, those small habits that once seemed trivial can begin to weigh heavily on us. The challenges of daily life grow more intense, and the support we once felt from our partners may not seem as present anymore. It's not just the habits that become more difficult to bear. It's the growing sense that the relationship has shifted in an unbalanced way. We might find ourselves managing most of the household responsibilities, taking care of grandchildren, maintaining social commitments, and possibly even handling health concerns, all while our husbands seem to disengage. The sight of them sitting idly, perhaps lost in their own distractions, while we continue to juggle numerous responsibilities, can spark a deep frustration within us. It's not just about the workload. It's about the lack of partnership in sharing life's burdens. Many women reach a point where we start to question whether we're in this journey together anymore. It's not that we have fundamentally changed or lost the capacity for love, but over the decades, an accumulation of unmet expectations, fatigue, and a lack of emotional reciprocity begins to take its toll. The emotional distance we feel doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It grows over time As we become increasingly aware of how much more we are carrying in the relationship, emotionally and practically, we may have entered marriage with a vision of what our later years together would look like. Dreams of peaceful days spent in mutual companionship, enjoying the rewards of the life we built together. We imagine growing old side by side, sharing the joys and burdens equally, supporting one another as we face the inevitable challenges of aging. But for many women, the reality doesn't always match this ideal. Instead of sharing these responsibilities, we often find ourselves alone in managing the household and caring for extended family members. The expectations we had for our golden years of rest, ease, and togetherness can feel shattered when our partners disengage from the practical and emotional work required to sustain a household and a marriage. This growing gap between our hopes and the reality of our daily lives can create a deep sense of disappointment. We gave so much of ourselves over the years, our time, our energy, our careers, and sometimes even our personal dreams. In return, we often hoped for recognition, for a deepened bond that would carry us through these later years. Yet when that recognition doesn't come, when we feel unsupported or even abandoned by the one person we thought would stand by us, the disappointment can turn into something more profound, a feeling of betrayal. It's a betrayal of the partnership we believed we had, a betrayal of the dreams we built together. This sense of betrayal isn't easily shaken off. It builds up over time, as day after day, year after year, we feel the weight of unspoken needs and unmet expectations. We may not express it openly, but the emotional toll accumulates, creating a growing distance in our hearts. It's not just about the lack of physical help or shared duties. It's about feeling unseen, unappreciated, and undervalued in a relationship that was supposed to provide mutual support. As the emotional distance grows, many of us begin to reevaluate the dynamics of our marriage. We might ask ourselves if the partnership is still serving both of us, or if we are simply staying out of habit or obligation. These questions can be difficult to confront, especially after spending decades with someone. But they arise naturally when the balance of emotional investment feels so one-sided. We can find ourselves growing weary, questioning the very foundation of the relationship we once cherished. In this stage of life, it's not uncommon for us to feel a profound sense of loneliness, even when we're still married. This loneliness doesn't come from a lack of people around us, but from the absence of true emotional connection with the one person who was supposed to be our closest companion. We may long for the closeness we once had, but it feels out of reach, obscured by years of built-up frustrations and unmet needs. This emotional distance, while painful, can also be an opportunity for reflection. Some of us may choose to address the growing gap with our partners, seeking counseling or making efforts to reignite the connection that seems to have faded. Others might choose to focus on their own well-being, finding fulfillment in other areas of life rather than relying solely on the marriage for emotional support. The choices we make in this phase of life are deeply personal, but they all stem from the same underlying need: the desire to feel valued, supported, and emotionally connected in the relationships that matter most to us. Another major contributor to the widening gap in relationships, especially as we age, is the shift in health and lifestyle choices. Health inevitably becomes a central concern in our later years. And when our husbands cling to unhealthy habits, it puts an enormous strain on the relationship. Many men continue to smoke, drink excessively, or ignore the importance of physical activity, even as their health visibly declines. This behavior doesn't just compromise their well-being, it affects us, their partners, in profound ways. When they choose to smoke heavily, for example, we worry not only about their health, but also about the impact on our own, given the well-documented dangers of secondhand smoke. Each time they fall ill as a result of these lifestyle choices, we feel the weight of that frustration and concern, knowing that many of these health issues could have been avoided with a bit more responsibility. The burden of caring for them often falls squarely on our shoulders, especially when they neglect their own health. It's exhausting, both physically and emotionally, particularly when we're at an age where mutual care and support should be the foundation of our relationship. Their lack of concern for their well-being feels not only irresponsible, but also selfish, which naturally leads to a buildup of resentment. We find ourselves constantly managing crises that could have been prevented if there had been more shared commitment to health and self-care. These unhealthy habits ripple through the entire household, adding to the growing distance between us. For instance, while we may be deeply involved in keeping the household running, cooking, cleaning, or even taking care of grandchildren, they might spend hours in front of the television or scrolling through their phones. This disconnection from family life leaves us feeling isolated, as though we are carrying the weight of the household while they drift further away, disengaged and detached. We may both be physically present, but the emotional distance is palpable, and it creates a sense of loneliness, even in the same space. This sense of disconnection deepens with time, often exacerbated by seemingly small but constant irritations. Health issues such as loud snoring, persistent coughing, or a neglect of basic hygiene become more than just minor annoyances. They disrupt our sleep, erode our patience, and compound the feeling that we're living with someone who no longer prioritizes our shared well-being. The home, once a space of comfort and togetherness, now feels heavy with the responsibility of managing these everyday challenges. What was once a partnership in life has started to feel more like a caretaker's role, and this shift can be disheartening. These frustrations, however, don't mean that love has vanished or that we no longer care for each other. Instead, they're the result of years of unmet expectations and mounting frustrations. As we move into the later stages of life, the dynamic of our marriage naturally evolves. The fiery romance of earlier years may fade, but what replaces it should be a deeper understanding, mutual care, and respect. When one partner fails to contribute to this shared responsibility, whether through unhealthy habits or emotional disengagement, the relationship begins to suffer and the distance between us grows. What we long for in these years is not material wealth or grand gestures, but a sense of emotional support and companionship. We want to feel that our partners are invested in our shared life, that they care about both their health and ours, and that they value the time we spend together. When this emotional connection is lacking, when the daily rhythms of life feel more like chores than shared moments, it becomes harder to ignore the growing gap. We find ourselves longing for the closeness we once had, even as that distance feels more difficult to bridge with each passing day. It's important to understand that this gap doesn't appear suddenly. It's the result of many years of small, seemingly insignificant choices that add up over time. choices that slowly erode the foundation of the relationship. When unhealthy habits are repeated and emotional engagement is neglected, the cumulative effect can be devastating to a marriage. The frustrations we feel now are not just about today's behavior, but reflect years of unmet needs and unaddressed issues that have built up over time. Despite this growing distance, it's crucial to recognize that these feelings don't signal a loss of love. Instead, they are a call for attention, a plea for our partners to recognize the importance of their choices and how deeply they impact not only their health, but the entire relationship. We're not asking for perfection, but for a shared commitment to making better choices, to be more attentive to the needs of the relationship, and to care about both our individual and collective well-being. Ultimately, what we want is a renewed sense of partnership. We want to feel that we are walking through life together, sharing in both the joys and challenges of aging, without feeling as though we are shouldering the majority of the burden. We want a relationship where health and well-being are prioritized, not just as individuals, but as partners who are equally invested in the long-term health of the relationship. When this balance is restored, when both of us are committed to caring for ourselves and each other, the distance that has grown over the years can begin to close, and we can once again find comfort in our shared life. We are not asking for grand changes, but for small, consistent efforts that show we are valued, that our health and well-being matter, and that the relationship is still a priority. These changes can make all the difference, transforming the feelings of frustration and distance into renewed closeness and understanding. Many older women find themselves feeling emotionally distanced from their husbands, grappling with a sense of disconnection and resentment that has built up over time. What was once a relationship rooted in love and partnership may now feel strained, with empathy and mutual understanding fading into the background. Health and lifestyle choices play a pivotal role in shaping the emotional landscape of our relationships. When our husbands continue to indulge in habits like smoking, excessive drinking, or other neglectful health behaviors, they may not fully realize the ripple effect their actions have on the family. These choices often result in us carrying the weight of constant concern for their well-being, on top of managing our own health. For many of us, the stress of worrying about a partner's health, compounded by the impacts of secondhand smoke or the limitations brought on by a sedentary lifestyle, becomes a heavy burden to bear. It's not just the immediate health risks that cause concern. It's the emotional toll of watching someone we love slowly deteriorate due to poor decisions. We find ourselves not only managing our own physical challenges, but also the mounting stress of caring for a spouse who may seem indifferent to their own self-care. This imbalance can leave us feeling unsupported and overwhelmed, as though we're carrying the weight of the household on our shoulders alone. Further complicating matters is the lack of active participation in family life. When our husbands spend hours glued to the television, lost in their phones, or detached from the daily responsibilities of the household, it amplifies the emotional distance. We, as wives, often find ourselves feeling isolated in our own homes, even though we are meant to be sharing this life journey together. The sense of loneliness can be profound as we handle the myriad tasks of managing the household while longing for meaningful interaction, for a partner who engages and supports us in both the small and significant moments. This emotional isolation is often made worse by the physical discomforts that come with aging. Issues like snoring, chronic coughing, or poor hygiene, things that may not have been as prominent earlier in life, can make living in close quarters more challenging. These daily irritations may seem small individually, but over time, they erode the intimacy that once existed between us and our spouses. The emotional closeness we once cherished becomes harder to maintain when compounded by the frustrations of living with someone whose health choices, or lack thereof, are impacting our shared space. But let us remember, dear friends, that the dynamics of marriage evolve as we age. It is no longer just about love and attraction. It becomes about support, companionship, and a deeper kind of understanding. As our husband's health and lifestyle habits change, and as the gap between our expectations and the realities of aging widens, the emotional distance can feel insurmountable. Yet, it is crucial that we, as couples, work toward finding common ground again. It requires both partners to listen deeply, empathize with each other's challenges, and actively care for one another in ways that matter most. After all, the aging process is filled with changes, and maintaining happiness means being willing to adapt, accept, and find joy in the shared moments we still have. Now, as we reflect on the conversations we've had today, let us consider the ways in which growing older presents both challenges and opportunities. While there are undeniably physical and emotional hurdles that come with aging, there are also opportunities for deeper connection, for fostering greater understanding, and for personal growth. We can use this stage of life to rediscover the ways in which we support one another. The small daily habits we cultivate, the respect we offer each other, and the way we choose to show up for our families all contribute to the legacy we leave behind. Our health and the health of our spouses is a cornerstone of that legacy. When we make a commitment to maintaining good health, not just for ourselves but for each other, we build a stronger foundation for our relationship. In the same way, fostering respect and being present in each other's lives are equally important. These values extend beyond the walls of our home and influence our families in profound ways. By prioritizing these principles, we can strengthen not only our marriages but the relationships with our children, grandchildren, and even our broader community. So, as we navigate the complexities of aging, let's remember to approach this time with intention. We must prioritize empathy and communication, and embrace the small moments of connection that still exist. By doing so, we can create an environment where both partners feel valued, respected, and cared for. And when we take care of ourselves, both physically and emotionally, we're not only improving our own well-being, but also investing in the well-being of our loved ones. If this conversation has resonated with you, I encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences. We learn from each other, and by opening up these dialogues, we can continue to grow and strengthen the bonds within our families. Together, we can find ways to adapt, to support each other, and to build a future that reflects the love and care we've always strived to uphold. Let's keep the conversation going. Our collective wisdom can make all the difference in how we approach the challenges and joys of growing older.